Hi, I'm making a video today about the Nemesis concept, previously called Corp, sometimes even called Phantom Corp, most recently been calling it Phantom Corp. And I want to kind of explain the philosophy behind the concept and what it can do and why people really need this. And to understand this, you kind of gotta understand what was going on in my life when I came up with this idea. When I was 19, I worked as a volunteer in the lab at the hospital my dad operates at because he's a surgeon, and I was studying microbial-induced corrosion. And I invented two things, and I got completely screwed over on both of them. I invented this mechanical joystick, which ended up being patented by the hospital that I was volunteering at, despite the fact that I have like hospital employees' signatures in a book on my invention before they filed their patent. And then the work I did on microbial-induced corrosion ended up at ExxonMobil, and I have emails. Sorry, my dog is crying in the room. I have emails from I'm CC'd on emails from the employee at the hospital sending my ideas and my work to his friend at ExxonMobil, okay? And it was like ridiculous. And so I got completely screwed over, and I actually got a lawyer to fight the case named Joe Jamale. If you haven't heard of him, you should look him up. He's like a big-time dude. And I filled out this lawyer. I told my dad like what was going to happen, and there was going to be a lawsuit. I pretty much got threatened and harassed by my dad because I would be suing his employer, and I had them like completely red-handed. And then on top of that, I had a huge attorney on it. And basically, my dad and his friend who worked at the hospital, who kind of were the perpetrators here, they just figured like, oh, it doesn't matter if they screw me over. There's nothing I can do because I don't have any money. And what ended up happening is my friend's dad, who's a huge lawyer, actually offered to help me out. But after that, my dad just like started harassing me, threatening me, blah blah blah, because he didn't want his employer to get sued, and he didn't want that on his reputation. And I ended up dropping the lawsuit because of my dad, and I was pretty upset about all this, right? Because it's just total corruption through the entire intellectual property system. Right. Not only is it a huge uphill battle as an inventor these days, right? These companies had a person in my home who was threatening and harassing me in order to protect their own intellectual property rights, which they had stolen from me. And can you imagine, like, if someone was in your home that was an agent working for a corporation in order to protect their intellectual property, right? It's ridiculous. You hear about Kim.com and how they were spying on him and how they sent in a raid, but this is like my parent in my house, or I guess technically I was in his house, like, oh my God, just working for another company to try and fuck me over. And it was ridiculous. I was very upset. And after that, I kind of went into a little bit of a downward spiral, right? It's pretty hard to be an inventor or a thinker, right? People, first of all, no one ever wants to pay you, and then when you invent something, people steal your ideas, and then they try to claim it wasn't even you that came up with them in the first place. And I kind of figured out this entire U.S. intellectual property system is just all about greed and corruption, and it's really not about promoting innovation or protecting innovators in any way. It doesn't do that at all. All it does is protect people who have put money into innovation, right? So the only way you get protection through the U.S. intellectual property system is by putting money in, not by creating ideas, not by putting thought and like mental effort into it, right? Your ideas really don't help you at all. Your innovations really don't help you at all. It's all about how much money you've put in. And that's really ridiculous, because if anyone watching this video, if you look around right now, everything you have, everything you see started as an idea. Okay, not like the soil and trees and stuff like that, but everything in your house, your entire house, all of that started as an idea from somebody. And if we want to have more things that you can't see right now, things that people don't have right now, it's going to be through this same process, right? Someone's going to come up with this idea, right, using a combination of logic and creativity, and you're going to, society and the human race is going to advance as a result of that. And So basically, I started realizing all these problems, and I started realizing that, like, I was never going to get paid. No matter what I invented, I could reinvent the wheel. I would never get paid because I didn't have money to put behind it. And I just thought it was a bunch of crap, especially because I was doing very well as an inventor. I was inventing all this stuff and coming up with, like, a lot of good ideas. And after that, I kind of, when I had this realization, I kind of went into a little bit of a downward spiral. And I kind of hit rock bottom, and I got this idea that I should reinvent an intellectual property system and make it one that exploits the current system to get rid of it. And I started seeing all these exploitable loopholes in the USPTO and how it could be worked around and overthrown. And those kind of loopholes were like, anti-censorship technology. Obviously, you can't enforce a copyright without being able to censor. And anonymous payments to people who disclose information. And I came up with this IP system for the internet. And I really want people to make this idea. Okay, I think it's really important. It has the potential to remove the need for money from innovation and development of products. And really, I want people to recognize this is really an underdog story, right? I was getting screwed over by ExxonMobil, one of the largest companies in the world, and even if I don't make a ton of money on this, that's fine. I want I want this to get made anyways. And I think it's really important because it prevents censorship and it prevents costly legal battles and overreaching federal government. This kind of system really limits the size of federal governments and the power they have by removing them from intellectual property. And please help me bring this concept to life. We need people to help in any way they can. Okay, thinkers, that's good. We need you. I've put a lot of thought into it, but I'm sure there could be more that goes into it. We need people to develop this concept, right? We need programmers, and we may need some money, which is ironic because they're trying to remove the role of money from development of innovation and ideas, and but we're not there yet. And right now, we may need some funding or something like that because we need help, we need assistance, and I wish 30 developers would say, hey, that's a great idea, let's make it right now, and they start programming it. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So if people give money so we can make incentive for the developers to create this, that would be awesome. All right, Chip.